I am genuinely happy for the life that lies ahead. I also recall that slowly and one day life will take over. And if there is one thing I'll keep remembering, it is the way you feel for me and I feel for you. I could also remember you saying the easiest way to your heart is to stop wondering, but search to the depths and focus on and examine the way you say, I love you with your eyes closed. For those moments, where are they now? I could repeat it all over again and ask aloud if they are gone forever or contemporary they stay and are still coming back. But would my heart stay or say it to another Adam, it beat for you faster than it did for the former? Of course, a heart stay. That's a short poem portraying the love life between T.Y. and Mary in the book titled Cure for Pain by Herman Facile. Hi everyone, today I'll be making a review on the book titled Cure for Pain by Herman Facile. Also, I'll be giving you 4 morals that I learned from this book. In this review, I'll be making a review based on 6 characters in this book, which are Mary, T.Y., Jack, Faith, Karen, and Carl. Let's start with Mary. Mary in this book happens to be one of the main characters. And in this book, Mary was given a nickname called an angel. And this was because the lifestyle, Mary's behavior, and everything, the way she behaves in this book was written with that of an angel. She behaves well, she lived a good life and a better life in this book. Mary was the one that fell in love with T.Y. in this book, which I'll be talking about later after Mary. And Mary in this book also worked as a teacher, and she also volunteered at Safe Work. This was an harm reduction program. Also, Mary had parents, but majorly Mary stays with her mother right from when she was giving birth to, and this was because of the circumstances that surrounded the way she was giving birth to, because her mother got pregnant for her best friend's husband. So immediately she gave birth to Mary. The daddy does not want to have any kind of relationships to do with both Mary and the mother, but he made sure that he was sending Mary money for her upkeeping and to take care of any other thing she wanted to take care of. So that makes Mary's mothers to remarry. So the person she remarries to was the one that transferred an hepatitis C to her. She contacted an hepatitis C from the new husband she got married to, and that caused the relationship between Mary and the stepdad not to go in a very good way. That spoiled the relationship because Mary was so angry that why wouldn't he do such a thing by spreading the disease to her mother, which of course affected the mother so much. But fortunately for her, the mother came out stronger because she did a transplant surgery and everything went well for her. So Mary also in this book had a best friend called Faith. So Faith was her best friend in this book, and also she, like I said before, she lived a normal life, a good life in this book, and she fell in love with T.Y. before everything turned around for them. Also, let me talk about T.Y. T.Y. in this book also happens to be one of the main characters in this book. Maybe I could call him the protagonist in this book. So in this book, T.Y. was a young guy that lived a kind of different life that was different from every other characters in this book. Okay, he was exposed to this kind of lifestyle at a very young age. That was an heroin dealer. He became an heroin dealer at a very young age, and that made him to be taken to prison at the age of 17 because he was caught dealing with heroin, and that made him to be sentenced to jail at the age of 17 years old before he was later released after 5 years. Although normal, he was supposed to spend 7 years in the prison, but he was released when it was 5 years that he had stayed in the prison, and the remaining 2 years he lived it based on probation to check if he had changed or he had not changed, or will he still go back to dealing, or will he stop dealing in heroin? So Ty was the one that also fell in love with Mary in this book. They dated in this book, and everything turned around for them from good to bad before it later finally ended well for them. So talking about Faith in this book was Mary's best friend. They were staying in the same area before they relocated and started staying in the same place at UK City. So also she was a nurse, and she also was a volunteer at Safe Work. Talking about Carl in this book was the person that introduced heroin dealing to Ty in this book. It was the center of Ty's problem in this book, because if there was no Carl in this book, Ty wouldn't be someone that went to prison or live a kind of lifestyle that was not okay, to the extent that it was tagged or called a devil in the book. So talking about Karen was the founder of Safe Work in this book. Safe Work, like I said, was an harm reduction program which helped a lot of youth, a lot of people in this book, which I'll be talking on later. Also talking about Jack was also a volunteer at Safe Work in this book. So was eventually Mary's friend because they were volunteering at the same place in this book. And also Jack was once a junkie and addict, a heroin addict, but he was saved by Karen. When he was saved by Karen took him in, tried as much as possible to make him to be free of being an addict. And when he eventually stopped being an addict, so he decided to volunteer at Safe Work so that he'll be able to help others to stop them from being an heroin addict, alcohol addict, or a junkie, so that they'll be also able to live a normal life apart from being an addict. So I think I've mentioned the 6 characters in this book, which are Mary, that I'll be making a review on, which are Mary, Jack, Faith, Ty, Karen, and Carl. So let's move on to the morals that I learned from this book. Number 1, redemptive service. There are a lot of redemptive services in this book. Let me just tell you about Safe Work. Safe Work is an harm reduction program in this book, and this program was established so that they will help youth to be cleaned up, like they mentioned in this book, to be free of being an addict, alcohol addict, a junkie, being a prostitute. So it's just like a voluntary organization that would help youth to like be redeemed, to come back to the kind of normal life that they used to live before. Either they used to live before and stopped living because they become an addict, a heroin addict, a junkie, and a prostitute. Funny enough, the area where this Safe Work was established was an area that Karen studied well and sensed that there is kind of bad influence, a drug addict, a prostitute were so much in this area. So that makes us to establish that Safe Work in that area. And at Safe Work, what do? They used to give safety kits to an addict, also to anyone that got herself involved in prostitute. They know that even if they want us to stop them from being an addict, it's a process. They can't just stop them at once. So what do they first do instead? They gave them safety kit. This safety kit contained a needle, because there are a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of heroin dealers in this society where Karen established the Safe Work at. So and a lot of them used to like make use of needles that are not safe to inject heroin into themselves, and through this a lot of them are moving about with one disease or the other, which would affect innocent people. Stop this and reduce the rate at which disease will be spread across to other people innocent. So they started giving this safety kit to people that comes to the organization and asked for it for free without charging them or collecting any money from them. So that kind of help people to reduce the rate at which disease will be spread to other people. And also through this, a lot of people's life were turned around. They lived a better life and stopped being an addict and alcohol, or being a junkie, or being a prostitute. So, number one thing, redemptive services. There are a lot of redemptive services, like I said in this book, and selflessness. Starting from Mary. Mary, because of the mother who contacted an hepatitis C from the stepdad, because of this, she decided to be a volunteer at Safe Work, so that she'll be able to help others. She'll be able to direct them on what to do and what not to do, so that they will not find themselves in the position that the mother found herself. Also, she was selfless because there was one of our students, Roseni, who stopped attending school because the parent could not afford to send her. So through Mary, she was able to get a scholarship, which made her to continue her education, to further her education. Also, Jack also performed a redemptive service in this book when a volunteer at Safe Work, because Jack was once a drug addict but was helped by Karen to stop being a drug addict. So after that, he decided to be a volunteer at Safe Work, so that he will be able to use his story to help others to stop being an heroin addict, drug addict, or prostitute. Also, Faith was a nurse, so through her experience, she knew that she would be able to give people health talk on how to take care of themselves, stop being addict, how to live a normal life. She also performed a redemptive service in this book. Also, talking of Faith and Jack, at first they were not getting along, but eventually they started getting along and they were friends and lived so well. Also, another person that performed a redemptive service was Karen herself, because for her to have that knowledge of establishing Safe Work, it's a whole lot on its own. And this Safe Work helped a lot of people in this book, because there are a lot of life that was turned around, stopped being an addict, and they were cleaned up, they live a normal life, and they progressed and were so well and okay at the end. That was where I get to know that all those drug addicts, people that are alcohol addicts or something, they do not usually take care of themselves. They are not after their personal hygiene. All they knew was for them to take this alcohol and be high on it. So, but through the Safe Work, they started telling people that even if they are addicts, that does not stop them from being hygienic, from taking care of themselves. So because of this, these people volunteer themselves to help a lot of people in this society, where they know that a lot of people are being an addict, heroin addict, alcohol addict, and being prostitute as well. Also, Nikki in this book, who was also a drug addict and a prostitute, she stopped being a drug addict and prostitute when she saw what her friend Sarah went through when she wanted to deliver his only son that she gave birth to in this book. It happened that they used to work together before, take heroines together, do prostitutes, and live those kind of lives before in this book. And so when Sarah got pregnant, she tried everything within her power to flush out that baby, but fortunately she could not do this successfully. So when she later gave birth to that son, she gave birth to him being disabled. He had a disability that the baby was fighting with. So it was this thing that Nikki saw that made her stop being a prostitute, alcohol addict, living that kind of life that was not worthy. And when she eventually stopped living this kind of lives, so that makes her to serve as a volunteer at Safe Work too, so that she'll be able to use her story to teach people and stop them from being a prostitute, alcohol addict, heroin addict, and any other addicts they were in this book. Also, number two moral happens to be pure love. In this book, Mary and T.Y. fell in love with T.Y. being heroin supplier, is a dealer. tried as much as possible to move heaven and earth to be with Mary. Even though it was not easy for him, he was threatening that if he stopped being a dealer, his life will go for hit and all. But because of the love he had for Mary in this book was pure love and true love, so he did everything within his power to make sure that he stopped being an heroine dealer and live a normal life, so that he'll be able to be with Mary at the end, which they eventually did. But it was a very difficult decision that almost took T.Y. life. Theme number 3, rehabilitation. In this book, a lot of rehabilitation was done as well as redemption. And as written in this book, it was said that rehabilitation was done because they want a society where everyone will be free of trouble, addiction, and bad influences. Majorly, rehabilitation was done by Karen in this book. Not only Karen in this book, rehabilitation was done by the DEA, that's Drug Enforcement Agency, in this book, because they used T.Y. to arrest all those people that are involving themselves in heroin dealing, in heroin supplying in this book. So a lot of rehabilitation was done in this book that at the end, the society was free from heroin dealers, heroin suppliers, and other bad influences that are common in that society. So a lot of rehabilitation was done in this book by both the voluntary organization that was established and by government also in this book. That was when the bosses that are supplying people with heroin in this book were all arrested. Some of them were sentenced to jail and some of them were killed before they were arrested. Tip number 4, selfishness. There are a lot of selfishness that was displayed in this book, starting from Carl. Carl was so selfish that even when T.Y. knew that what he was sending him to collect from someone was heroin, so he wanted to withdraw at that moment, that he was not going to get himself involved in anything again, because T.Y. was a boss boy when Carl met him and asked him to please go and collect the goods that he was expecting from someone. So when T.Y. knew that it was heroin that he was dealing with, then Carl threatened his life by telling him that if he should back out, he already had the picture of him giving him the heroin, so he's going to go to the police officers, he's going to show them, and he was sure that T.Y. would not want to end his life in jail before he eventually went to jail. So because of that and because of the money, then he was giving T.Y. a lot of money so that he'll be able to continue dealing and all. So the money was like serve as an evil to T.Y. because he realized that he was not earning as much as that when he was working as a boss boy. So Carl used that money to tease him so that he'll be able to continue dealing, and that makes him to continue dealing and not stop dealing, majorly because of the money. And also because of this of Carl's selfishness, he was threatening T.Y.'s girlfriend that the girlfriend is going to like stop him from dealing, is going to be a distraction, and if T.Y. could not get rid of her by himself, he's going to get rid of her because he does not want anything to distract him from dealing. And this was because of the money Carl was realizing from this dealing thing. That was why he wanted to like spoil the future of T.Y. And T.Y. being a young boy was really young when he was exposed to this kind of life. He couldn't resist, and based on the huge amount of money that Carl was giving him, that he could not even realize when he was working as a boss boy, that makes him also to steal. And also there was a point where he was also threatening him, that I told him that if T.Y. should get himself involved in dealing or not, people that will take this heroin will still take it. So T.Y. dealing in it or not does not make society to be free from it. So you should better start dealing with heroin, because it's a matter of natural selection. People that will survive from dealing to survive, and those ones that will not survive will not survive. So that makes it a theme of selfishness in that book. This makes it the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying through. please, like before, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment, like, and share with your friends too. Thank you. See you in my next video. Bye.